Okay, guys, so today for our lesson, we're going to learn how to write the lowercase letters D, G, P, Q, and O. So, like yesterday, I know many of you guys do not have the handwriting letter sheets, which I actually did post a copy of them on Edsby. So if you ever want to download and print them off and work on them that way, that's an option. However, if you don't, like most of us don't just have that at our houses. So I'm going to show you how to write these cursive letters using the headline, the midline, and the baseline on your own sheet of paper. So if you remember from our lesson yesterday, the headline is the top line of the 3 lines that we need. The midline is the middle line, and the baseline is the bottom line. So if I were to write on my own sheet of paper, I would want to use these 3 lines to show my cursive. There is a little space down here which is called the descender line, and we're actually going to be using that space today because as you can see, the lowercase letters G, P, and Q all will go below the baseline, so we're going to need to use that space down there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with the letter D. That's how we write it in print lowercase. So for the lowercase d in cursive, we're actually going to start at the midline. And from the midline, we're going to swoop around. Then we're going to go all the way up to the headline and then down to the baseline for our exit stroke. Okay, so we're kind of starting at the midline and then we're going around, then all the way up to the headline, down to the baseline and exit. So midline, swoop down, up, exit. Midline, swoop down, up, exit. Midline, baseline, headline, exit. Midline, baseline, headline, exit. You just want to do that over and over again to practice how that feels. Trying to keep your letter D's at a slant. So I started to go up a little bit. So I'm actually going to do one more just to practice that. Oh, that was a beautiful D. Oh my goodness, that was magnificent. Okay. One mistake that I just made, I don't know if anybody caught it, is that I didn't mark where I'm going to be using my lines. So I should have marked that I was going to use the baseline, I was going to use the midline, and I was going to use the headline. So I can't forget that this time. So let's go down 2 lines, make our bracket. Now we're going to work on the letter G. That's how we write it in print. So I'm going to be using the midline, the baseline, and I'm going to go down into the descender line. We're not going to mark the descender line, but we're going to know that it's there, and now we need to use the space below the baseline. Just like the letter D, we're also going to start at the midline for our letter G. We're going to swoop around, and instead of going all the way up to the headline like we do for D, we're going to stop at the midline, and then we're going to take it down to the descender line. So watch. Midline, go down to the baseline, back up to the midline. Don't pick up your pencil. You're going to go down to the descender line, swoop and exit. Okay, it's a little easier the quicker you go. You want to get into the motion of it, but we want to be fluid. We want to move smoothly, okay? So mid, back to mid, descender, exit. Mid, baseline, back to the mid, descender, exit, okay? I'm actually going to slant a little more. Oh yeah, there we go. Mid, descender, exit. Mid, descender, exit. Okay, as you can see on my bracket, there should be nothing up above the midline. And remember, we have that exit line because that line is going to be another letter. that we're going to connect. Okay, so that's the letter G. Skip a few lines. Let's move into the letter P. Okay, that's how we write the letter P in print. So for the letter P in cursive, there's actually two different ways that we can write P, and I'm going to show you the simpler way after I show you the fancy way. Okay, I'll show you the fancy way first. It doesn't matter which way you want to write it. Just pick one that's more comfortable for you. I'm actually going to show you the fancy way first, and it's got a little swoopage in it that the easy way doesn't. So we're actually going to start at the baseline, okay? So I'm going to mark it. We're going to go up to the midline, so I'll mark that too. We are going to use a descender line because, as you can see, the bottom of the P kind of falls in that space below the baseline. Oops, excuse me. We are not going to go up above the midline to the headline, okay? We're going to, just like the letters G, we're just going to stay in the middle and then down below in the descender line. So the fancy P, you'll start at the baseline, go up to the midline, and then you'll come down and do a little swoopage to the mid, base, exit. Okay, that's the fancy way. We don't need to do that way. So instead of making it a little simpler and not having this extra swoop, we're just gonna nix the swoop and make it a little simpler. So we're gonna start the same way, okay? So we're gonna start at the baseline, up to the midline, down the descender line, up, mid, base, exit. So let me show you again a little quicker, because sometimes the quicker you go, the nicer it looks. Up, down, and around, exit. Okay, up, down, and around, exit. Baseline, midline, descender, and exit. Dun, dun, and around, exit. Up, down, and around, exit. Okay, so that's P. So you can do the fancy way if you really wanted to. Okay, I would prefer you guys start off this way, and then when you master the letter P, then you can start adding that little swoop in there. I could probably make it actually look a little nicer. Oh yeah, that was better. Like I said, the quicker you go, sometimes the easier the letters become. Okay, let's move on to the letter Q. Well, that's how I write the letter Q in print. It's basically just a backwards P, right? Bracket. So if it's like a backwards P, it's gonna look like a backwards P in cursive too. We're gonna use the midline and the baseline, and we are also gonna use a descender line. We are actually not going to start at the midline though. So we don't have this little extra embellishment here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the midline, almost like the letter D, okay? So instead of going up, okay, like we would the letter D, we're going to come around and then straight down, out, back, and exit. So I'll show you. Midline, swoop around, back up to midline, down the descender, touch back at the baseline, and then exit. Okay, so instead of coming around to the left like a G, you're actually going to go around to the right for the Q. And then your exit is going to be after you touch back, and then you can exit. So mid, around, up, down the descender, touch, exit. Okay, let's try that again. Down, touch, exit. Midline, baseline, midline, down, base, exit. Remember, you want to be fluid. So sometimes it helps you to go faster. I think they just got a little fancier, a little bit more flair the quicker that I went down, okay? But make sure you have the form down before you start picking up the pace and trying to go a little smoother. You want to make sure that the letters look like how they look in cursive. The last one is an O. O, 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 it's magic. All right, so if we were to write a lowercase o in print, we would just go like that, right? In cursive, the lowercase o's got a little flair on it, okay? It's got a little something special. So we're gonna start at the midline, down to the baseline, almost like we're doing a print O. So I'll start. When you come back to the top though, that's where the flair happens. So instead of stopping, you're actually gonna come around and exit that way. So it's almost like a little curly Q, like a little pigtail, but you're connecting it, okay? Because we have to have an exit. We have to be able to connect the next letter to this O. And if we just close it off like print, then we can't connect it. So come around and out, around and out, around and out. Make sure you exit. Gotta have that exit. Make sure you exit. Gotta have that exit. And done. Okay, so those are our letters. Again, when you're done, I'm challenging you to make some words with these letters, because I bet you could. We could do D-O-G for dog. D-O-G. Okay, so I picked up my pen there. It's ideal to not pick up your pen at all, okay? We could do pod, like pod 1. So we would do P-O-D. Okay, I added this little curly thing here. You do not have to do that. In fact, I would prefer you didn't. So let me rewrite that. P-O-D. There we go. There's not really a word we can use with Q right now. So we'll do pog. Okay, play it again, a pog. So we'll do P-O-G. I must be having a habit of that, which is just how I write P's, but the correct way is P-O-G. Okay, so challenge yourself to make some letters and some words with those letters, because at the end of the week, I'm gonna give you some words to write, and that's how I will assess if you mastered all your letters, okay? It'll just keep you in the habit of not picking up your pencil in between each letter like we would if we were writing regular print. So that is D, G, P, Q, and O. Have at it. Good job.